Oh, 1, 2, 3. What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze tonight?
In House Craze tonight, we have the Madcaps. It is a new book coming out. I believe it's coming out soon on Kickstarter, and we're also going to be talking about intellectual properties.
Word.
Not yours, other people's
Other
intellectual properties.
people's.
We're going to be talking about that in just a few minutes, right after this.
Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the Dreamer, Medina, and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze.
Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I'm your host with the most, the Crazy Man, Vera. And I am
What happened to the beats? George, the Dreamer, Medina. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze. It is April 23rd. April 23rd. We are live. Once again, we're going to be talking to another creator, and we're going to be talking about a topic that may or may not be controversial. I don't know. But we decided maybe we would talk a little bit about it. Before we go into it, though, subscribe, hit the like button, comment, do all that fun stuff. What up, Lou? And let's get it popping. What's going on, Sammy?
Let's get it popping. Crack a
We're
lack.
delayed. We are delayed. Are we delayed? Am I delayed? You delayed? Who's delayed?
You delayed.
I'm delayed?
You delayed. Delayed.
I be delayed? All right.
Say hey. What's going on? What's going down, James Brown?
Michael,
Yeah,
what up,
I'm
my
getting it
brother?
right. Huh? Who this? Who that? What's up, San Martino? Got a lot
What
of
up?
syllables in that name. And so I'm getting ready to travel this weekend. I'm going to Central Texas Comic-Con. So it's going to be pretty dope. I'm heading out to Waco. This is my second appearance at Central Texas Comic-Con. So that's what I'm getting ready for this weekend. And then, what's up? End of Zed. What's up? And then May 4th, May the 4th be with you. I will be at Geek Out in Manfield.
Lou's birthday.
Yeah, Lou's birthday. It's going to be dope. Nice. So, back-to-back weekends, and then I travel for work right after that. So it's travel.
Nice.
So I'm excited because I get to unveil my latest booth setup, whole new setup, whole new everything. It's like, I'm going in for 2024. So, I check out the vlog that's going to come with that whole booth setup and the mindset behind the setup and why the rebranding and all that other stuff. You know how I do. Every year I go a little bigger than the previous year. So I'm excited about that. Just been grinding, traveling from work. I just came back from Pennsylvania last week. I'm heading out to New Jersey in 2 weeks for work. And so it's just been busy, bro.
Nice. Open all is good. Lou and Michael, yes, end of Zed. Man, that's cool, brother. So it's a lot of traveling, but traveling is fun, man. I do like me a good travel. I'm actually going to be in Chicago this weekend. So if you guys are going to be at C2E2, I'll be walking the floor. If you guys are going to be there, follow me on social media, go to Facebook or Instagram. Hit me up with your booth number because I'm just going to be walking around. Or if you're also attending, you'll find me. I'll be walking the floor, checking out Chi-Town and checking that out. So I'll be doing that. And then in a couple of weeks, I have a book signing for the release of my book, the 25th anniversary of Rust 5377. Release. What's up? So I'm going to be doing that in a couple of weeks here at a local comic book shop in Yonkers. I will be posting about that So follow me on social. I will be posting about that appearance. That's going to be a good time. And then my first, Sam, don't forget to hit up Funds when you are in Jersey. Fuddruckers.
Oh snaps! I'm thinking I'm meeting. I think Thursday night when I'm out there meeting up with George and Anibal Arroyo.
Yo, and then in June, bro, we're gonna be out in San Antonio.
San Antonio.
So, yeah, in a couple of months. Of months.
Yeah, the whole squad.
The boys
yeah, we'll be vlogging that. That's gonna be dope too. So we're gonna be vlogging that. So maybe that first day we'll go and if there's a new movie release, we'll hit up a movie or we'll find something to do out in San Antonio.
Tickets have been bought.
Yeah, for the superhero
Comic-Con. So tickets have been purchased. We are flying out there. It'll be me. It'll be Jonathan, Anibal, myself, Sammy, everybody. We're gonna be out there. We're gonna be chilling, hanging out.
Crazy.
So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah,
and what else is going to? Oh, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Get your meds. For some art of comic writing. So make sure you subscribe to that. Don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Sam's Art of Samuel as well.
Yes, that's the latest vlog right now. It's up right now. I just uploaded it, but a day ago. LitCon, my time at LitCon. Plus, I got some storage solutions, and I visited a museum, bro. That was pretty dope.
That cracks me up. Storage solutions. That's hilarious. So check out the shows. Check out the YouTube channels. Oh, there's a place in San Antonio that make a huge pizza. You guys have to get that pie. Oh, it's on.
We just need one for Jonathan and another one for the three of us.
Yeah. No, for sure. Have you had that pizza? Now you're from New York, at least. Tell me, is it worth it? If you've had it, I don't know if you've had it.
What's up?
If you've had it, you gotta let us know. Is it worth
represent Relish?
Huge pizza.
I'm a pizza snob. I already shut down those Chicago people. There's no pizza in Chicago.
Oh, damn, really?
It's like the Philly cheesesteaks can't compare to New York cheesesteaks. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Oh, I said it. Nothing like New York pizza. There you go.
Nothing like New York. Okay. All right. Well, at least the expectations are a lot lower now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Dan, what up? What's going on, my friend?
What's up, Danny boy?
Sam, usually we do this for about good 15 minutes. We go back and forth about what we're doing and what's going on. Why don't we shorten that a little bit and talk about the topic today? Because the topic today, I think it's
Órale, vato loco, pero primero I gotta tell everybody about this thing, man. Quieren y comen, man. Quieren y comen, que niños, bro. So Kid in the Comic, duties in the Kid in the Comic. Don't forget, go to kidinthecomic.com. You can get yourself a copy, have it delivered to your home. Go to your local store, have them order it through a Kid in the Comic. It is a newspaper comic strip with tons of fantastic stories and art by amazing creators all around, and duties in there too. So issue number 7 is getting ready to drop. So don't forget to get yourself a Kid in the Comic.
Yo, are you performing that song today or no? We're gonna say that for later.
What song?
What do you mean? You were doing a live performance of one of your rap songs.
Oh, I never said I was gonna do that. Detroit style wins.
Let's talk about the Detroit style pizza, kid. I don't know. I've never had Detroit. I've been in Detroit. I've never actually had their pizza. I think I should have done it.
You know what I want to go when I go to? Is it Detroit? I want to go to.
See, End of Z knows what's up. The small butts. They know. They remember.
Oh damn!
The peeps remember.
It's called Little Butts, bro. It's called Little Butts. I don't know if there's kids on the show. I can't be singing that song. That was a little.
Oh, you don't have a clean version,
huh?
You don't have a clean. That's the only reason I got on to hear what sing. Wait, you don't have a clean version of that song, bro?
I just know a couple of like Sneaker, Pika, the one they call Tamika. I tried to bust a move when I met her in the street. She caught my eye when she came out the bodega. My boy went to the rapper to chill. I'm a taker, so I put a stick of gum in my mouth that made the move. I said, "How you doing, hun?" I tried to be smooth, but my flow wasn't working. I felt like a jackass. I guess it was because I kept staring at her little. You say you better luck next time when I try to impress her with little butts. Yeah, this rhyme. I guess it worked because I was in there like a I can't say it. So anyway, so there it is. I gave you my little stint. I still remember the lines from back in the day.
You do remember. You remember. You should have thrown a little beat in there. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
The radio edits, yes. That's the PG version. Anyway.
Hilarious.
So we do got topics. It's time for me to get my meds because I'm getting a little sick. So let's get your meds.
Jamison.
Who's down with OPIP, other people's intellectual properties? Yeah, you know me. Not.
You already got fans, Dan Barlow, Uncle Sam, baby. Everybody knew. We said 2 weeks from now, this is what we were doing.
Oh man.
But
Oh,
you know, so you give them a little snippet. We'll be doing this. I
give you a
think
little
on a
taste.
weekly basis. You know, you put little snippets out there. I think that's what we'll do next week. Tune in next week for the rest of the song.
Oh man.
All right, Sam. Is the fast way to success in independent publishing rebranding someone else's intellectual property? Is that what you're seeing nowadays? What do you think? What do you think? Talk to me.
Looking like it, man. You're looking like it. I see a lot of people just riding the wave of capitalizing on open domain properties, the people's existing IPs that expired or whatever it is, and they just capitalizing it or reinventing it and putting their flavor to it. It's just putting a dress on when it had a blouse, right? So it's the same thing, but they just put their twist on it because everyone's just trying to get a deal, not necessarily be creative, right? And I think there's a trend. I'm not saying everybody, but there's a trend, a select group of people that are just looking for that fast track.
Do you think that it is a fast way to success, though? Do you think that
It seems to be the easiest because that seems to be the thing, right? It's always like bringing back the nostalgic stuff. And I mean, if the IP owners are still alive, you know, they're pitching their product to get things back out. I mean, you've seen everything come back, right? You've seen Gremlins come back, Ghostbusters come back, everything, it's coming back, and they're recycling. But you see a lot of chatter on social media where people are like, what if I took this character and did this? Or what if I took that character and did this? What if I took this character, right? How about what if you just created an original story? So I think that's it seems to be the fastest way. I mean, it's just, there's a few ways to the top that's going to get you there faster than the other way, especially when you don't have resources.
Yeah, I think when I was a little kid, man, ever since I started doing this and creating stories, I never really wanted to work for anybody else. I never wanted to work for Marvel, DC. I never wanted to do any of that stuff. Even though I loved a lot of the stuff that I read, I never wanted to write G.I. Joe. Never wanted to do any of that stuff. I always wanted to create my own stuff. So I personally don't get the infatuation of taking, for example, Winnie the Pooh and doing your own story, or taking, the Mickey Mouse, the Steamboat Willie or whatever version of him, taking him and I was never one to do that, because to me, that's not creating. Yes, you're going to probably write a new story for it, and maybe that's considered creating. But to me, it's about your own vision, right? Your own character, and making that character what these characters became. Yeah. That's what it was for me.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of that.
I've always wanted. When I was a kid, I wanted to write a G.I. Joe story. When I was, and even now, if they brought back Alf and there was a competition to write the next screenplay or as a TV series, I'd be the first one jumping in because I would love to write stories for Alf. That's different. I don't want. That means doing something because I love the character, and not necessarily me taking that character and changing him blue and calling him Dumpf instead of Alf, right? So I think you see a lot of that. I think for me, there are characters that I love that I can relate to. Like G.I. Joe, I was a diehard G.I. Joe fan. I still got about 175 action figures of G.I. Joe still in boxes. Alf, I'm a big diehard fan, so I would love to do that. But for me to break into the industry, I want to break in with my own original content.
And that's the other thing. Breaking into the industry, writing a script for Alf is different than Alf goes into public domain.
Right.
And you take Alf, write a story, and now you're in.
Right.
There's a difference. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. If you like Alf and you want to write Alf and you become the writer of Alf, and then that propels you into that's your I guess your door, your foot inside the door of writing your own stuff.
Yeah.
That's different. And maybe that's the way that the people who are doing this are thinking about it, right? If I write a character that's already known, then that's my way in.
Yes.
Now, if that's the way you're thinking about doing it, okay, I can see it. But if it's just a money grab, where you're just trying to make money at the conventions, quick money with a brand new Winnie the Pooh story and stuff like that, to me, I'm like, that's not me, man. I'd rather just create my own character and go out there and grind and hustle. And it's gonna take longer, obviously, because nobody knows who the hell I am.
Right.
But like that's just for me, it's just that's what I'd rather do.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest. I think it's the biggest thing. I mean, it's to each his own, but it seems like I think today, I think there's a lot of people who just want that check. They want the bag. I just want the bag. Give me the bag. I don't care if I have to
Yeah.
step up. I don't care if I have to just sell my IP or compromise, or if I have to ride the wave of something that's existing. Um, and then there are the original content creators that really just want to break out doing something they love, right? And so, you know, it's not saying there's anything right or wrong, but there's definitely two ways to go about it. There's the long road and there's the fast road. But uh, I don't mind being a paid for hire writer for Alpha, right? Right? Because I get to play in a sandbox that I've always fascinated about, right? But while I'm doing that, I'm going to be still working on duty, right? And to break in my own under my terms. So you got
Yeah.
to figure out what's going to work for you and what's best for you.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Definitely what works best for you. I think for me, it's about that new story.
Hmm.
It's about what I've created and hustling it to get it out there so that I can bring that out.
Because it also comes with risk, right? So just because something becomes public domain doesn't mean that there's no legal implications around that either. Because there might be companies that might have some sort of dotted line to this content that maybe say, no, you can't touch this, right?
Mhm.
And you might open the doors to create a headache for yourself when it comes to cease and desists, intellectual property rights, because it's broad. You don't know what other. So maybe the copyright has expired, but there's licensing that exists that have some sort of underlying themes to publication that you may be interfering in if you decide to take that IP. So unless you do your homework on something, you may open up a can of worms for yourself as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's cease and desist letters and people coming after you for it because it looks too much like whatever it is that they put out,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, so you run into that risk. Like for example, something like Winnie the Pooh, right? Winnie the Pooh is open domain.
Hmm.
However, if you put a red shirt on it, you're in trouble because Disney owns that. That's still Disney stuff.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, is it worth it? Is it worth the hassle? That's the whole thing. Yeah. Am I going to go through that for it?
I don't know. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it for me. So I'm just saying. I think it ain't my flavor, right? So you can go that route. But I've seen it. I've seen along the way where there's risk about it. Where just be very mindful of what you go after and why you go after it, and do your homework. I say if you do your research, you'll be fine. Even with the rehashing of an older story, you still have to execute it well, making sure the writing is engaging and the art is on par. So it's not, yeah, there's no guarantee of success. I mean, I think how many how many Kickstarters did you see with someone retelling the story of Cthulhu?
Yeah.
It must have been, I mean, the past couple of years, it must be over 100 different versions of Cthulhu, right? That people just capitalize it because they know that it's an easy money, right? But to end of Zed's point, you do have to tell a compelling story. You have to keep them. What's going to make your version different from the other guy's version, right? And then how in line with the mythos are you? Are you creating your own mythology to it, right? Your own twist to it. But there has to be some sort of link to its original where it came from, and that's those are the things that I mean. The ones who are going to be really successful are if they took that IP and they love it, and they did their homework, and they put a twist on it that complements it and takes it to that next level. Godspeed, bro. You get what you get because you did the work. But those who doing it because they're looking for that fast buck, you also get what you get, right? So I think it all depends on what you put into it.
Yeah, the other thing. What up, Johnny? The other thing too is I remember some of these things have a fan base, and some of these things are some of these fan bases are very, very loyal to what
Yes.
they remember reading or whatever. So if you don't come correct, if you change something too much, that can also backfire on you,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like to end of Zed's point, it's not a guaranteed sale, but I think that it's definitely something that if they see at a convention, they're gonna come to, and they're
Yeah.
gonna say, "Hey, what is that? I
Yeah.
love this character," and they're gonna give it a shot just based on the fact that it's that before they even read anything. They may not buy the second issue if you have an ongoing series,
Yeah.
but they're definitely gonna pick up that first book. Whereas a person who has an IP that nobody's heard of, that's gonna be harder to sell because they don't know
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, and you said something that was interesting because what attracts people to my booth is when they see Duty as. So when it's like they recognize the character, right? You know, Duty as Monkey D. Luffy or Duty as you know, Iron Man or whatever, Captain America. They see it, they're a fan of Iron Man. And they never seen this character, this green character that's in this Iron Man suit. Like, hey, what's that? And then they start looking around. It's like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. And that's like opening the door, but it's still Duty. So Duty's just doing dress up, and but that's like the entry to my booth, right? I catch them from a distance. They walk over. We start the conversation. That's different because it's just Duty just putting on clothing. But if I took Batman and I decided to create my own twist of Batman and write my own story, then I run the risk of really you can hurt yourself because if you don't copy, because there's a lot of loyalists out there to those properties. There's a lot of diehard fans that can tell you what they eat for breakfast, when they pick their nose. They can tell you all the stuff about those characters because they love them. So you have an obligation that if you're going to go that route, to do it justice. So that means it requires you to put in the work. So it could go either way. But that's definitely a trend. I see it. I see a lot of people that they get that, but it might give you access and to the people, decision makers, and get you in the door. Doesn't mean that they're going to move forward with it. They probably just want to shelf it. So that's the other side of it, right? So how many people say, "Yo, I just got a deal." 2 years later, what happened? Well, they haven't done anything with it yet. What happened, right? You should know who is your lawyer? How'd you negotiate this? They should have put a timeline to shit. Excuse my language, right? So it's like those are the things that you got to be very mindful of when with everything you do, is because you run the risk of they might just want to shut your version down, right? And you get access, you think you got a deal, but there's a clause, you don't get paid until it's produced. It never gets produced, right? So there's that other side of the coin. I can't hear you.
So I'm curious. So for the people who are watching and stuff like that, how do you guys feel about it? Like a lot of the guys, I think a lot of the people that are watching, well, some of the people that are watching are creatives. You have your own stories. Would you go ahead and write something that's in the open domain section of creativity to kind of get put on? Is that something that you would do? Because to me, I just feel like it's a waste. Damn, I hear you typing, bro. You typing hard, son. Mute yourself. So because I feel like if I'm coming out with something, if I'm going to invest time in creating something, right? I rather invest time in creating something that I came up with.
Word.
That's the way I look at it. Because yes, I'm just using Winnie the Pooh because I know that that's definitely in public domain. But if I'm writing a Winnie the Pooh story, and some people have turned it into like slasher films or slasher stories and stuff like that, it's like Dan would. Okay, so I would if I had a fresh take on it. Now, Dan, do you feel like it would take away from you maybe being able to create something that you are trying to put out on your own? Like, do you think, because time is limited, at least for me it is. So I don't have time to kind of like do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if I have, what up, William? So if I have a story that I want to tell, I'm going to put everything into that story rather than the fresh take on something new. You know what I mean?
Yo, keep your ankles to yourself, bro.
Yo, Will, what is going on? He must be killing it, bro. He must be killing it, dude. I swear to God.
The toe jam shots.
Toe jam.
I couldn't do it because it's not personal to me. I invest my time on things that are worthwhile to me.
Okay.
don't forget the caveat. If someone
Mark.
gave you a big bag of money to write a Star Wars story, you'd probably do that.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, that goes without saying.
But that's different. I think
That's
it's writing
different,
Star
yeah.
Wars and continuing on that legacy. But if you're taking
Correct.
an expired IP that's now open domain and putting your own twist with it, that's the other side of it.
Yeah. Toes with grape jelly or syrup, you freak. I'd have to be out of my own ideas. Yeah. So Mark, we talked about that a little bit. I don't know if you just got in but we were talking about, like, for example, Alf, right? Sam's a big fan of Alf. If somebody said, hey, write the new, there's a new season of Alf coming out, write the scripts for it, and that's your way into the industry, because obviously now you have the money, you're doing this full time, this is your thing. I think that's the, like you said, that's the caveat, right? That's the caveat, right? But if nobody's giving you money, you just decided to do it, it would take time away, but I can add to the legacy of those characters. It would be a nice payoff as a creator. Okay. Good one, Lou. Sam, bring back Alf.
Yeah, baby. I'm working on it.
So yeah, man, it's interesting, and that's the thing, right? Like, I love when we like have discussions like this, because everybody's got a viewpoint here. How did I measure up to others who worked on them? Interesting. Okay, all right. So you want to be part of the legacy? I feel you, dog. Now here, Dan. Back to you though. Here, question for you on this one. So, all right. So you're building on the legacy. So you're saying continuing on the legacy. Yes, with a fresh take, but you're not turning, Winnie the Pooh into, I don't know, something completely different than what it was. Are you, or how would you work that? I
Make
guess
it that's purple, eating peanut butter and jelly instead of honey.
Yeah, I'd have to really be it.
Yeah,
to do it justice. Absolutely, man.
Absolutely. Because I don't know about any existing or expired open domain IPs that I would want to. I don't even look at that. You know what I'm saying? Let's say if I was given the opportunity to redo, that's another
story. Yo, bro, you don't even make any money off of those songs, dude.
No, I made no money.
That's terrible.
Yes.
Christopher's Kids. Okay. I see what you're saying.
I love to write an episode of the Smurfs.
Wow. I mean, look at the.
Yo, why you just wild me like that, bro?
Look at the musical. No, the Smurfs is dope, bro. Gargamel on them boys.
Yeah.
No, but he just said something that was interesting. That's something that's interesting. Have you seen Wicked on Broadway?
Yeah, of course. It's beautiful.
Okay, so that was something that I thought was different, right? It's a different take on the Wizard of Oz. This is the story of the Wicked Witch of the West, right? And so they flipped it. They told a completely different story on it. I can see why people would have done that. Would you have done something like that? Would you take, say, for example, Alf, right? Alf is public domain. Would you sit down and write a story about Alf and
see
him in his own world, which was the cartoon, I think?
It would be a passion project. I'm so in love with the character and the concept of Alf, and that I would give it nothing but pure love, and I would try to compliment its legacy. That's for me. That would be it. Yeah, I wouldn't change Alf, but I would add to his adventure, right? I would add the next level of Alfness, right? But I wouldn't take away from the core essence of who he is.
Would you do it as a paying gig, or would you do it just because you want to do it?
Oh, if it became open domain, then I'd do it and try to get feedback and do it that way on my, but I do it for me. It would start for me first, and then I would if it's open domain and I'm good and I'm clear, then I might, reproduce it as a comic book myself, and go that route and then go from there. But I would start from, man, I'd be putting Alf in comic books and crazy adventures, but that would be me. You know what I mean? It would be something I love.
Wow, Mark, great story to that character. Yeah, I never saw the Tintin movie, but Mark said Sam would make a whole comic of Alf opening a restaurant.
Here, kitty.
Yeah, I don't know. Wow, I thought you were a freaking animal lover, bro.
Hey, Willie,
what are we doing? You're killing cats over here?
Hibble.
Jesus Christ. Hilarious.
Oh,
but
man.
Yeah, no, I mean,
he never ate the cat.
Well, no, because it was a sitcom.
He fell in love with him. He fell in love with him.
He fell in love with the cat.
Yes.
But you can do, you could take a different take on that and make him a serial cat killer.
Send him to a cat world with a bunch of barbarian cats, and he has to survive. right? So it's like
by eating the cats. You'd have to kill the cats to survive. Nice.
Kill the rabbit. Kill the rabbit.
Kill
But,
the rabbit.
No, but that's the
Interesting.
difference. Like for me, you know, there's only there are three things I've ever wanted to work on was G.I. Joe with Smurfs and Alf. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, listen, if you get the chance, go for it. I think for me, it would have to be. I mean, listen, I'm a huge fan of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That's not. I don't believe that Frankenstein is in public. I think the Universal Monsters Frankenstein is in public domain. But I love the story of Frankenstein. Would I tell a story about Frankenstein? Probably not. You know, Thunder the Barbarian, Passion Project.
Yeah, man.
There you go. Alien cats invading his original home world, which is why they love to eat them.
Yes.
Oh, see that? See that? Who owns the rights? Who owns the rights to Alf? Give him a.
What's that name? What's that company? They bought it. They also own.
Send them an email.
Company.
Send them an email, bro.
They're trying to bring it back. You know, there's an Alf channel in Texas.
No. You've told me.
It's on free TV. It's 24
what?
hours a day. The cartoons in the morning and the sitcom at night.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
Nice. It's fantastic. Yeah, no, I didn't know that there was a whole Alf. Is there an Alf? That might be like not just in Texas. I'm pretty sure it's like.
Well, if you have free whatever it's called, free V TV, you have the channel. Yeah.
Alf on TV. Yeah, no, and you have all the comics.
I have all the comics, and I have the screenplay, and I have the plush doll.
The screenplay from the
original TV series screenplay.
TV series, yeah. No, I haven't watched Alf in
I'm just a nerd like that, bro.
Maybe I feel uncomfortable about it because it still feels like theft, even though it's legal to rehash it. What up, Anibal?
So, Rose Compollos. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, we could be talking about this forever, but we have a guest in the green room, and we didn't have any cookies in the green room. So I told you about that, George.
Bring them in.
Sure that
I forgot, bro.
But so let's give him a warm introduction with that news release.
Cover your ears, boy. Yes, kid.
What's that?
Hello, good to see you two.
That was loud. What's going on, Ray? How are you, man?
Life is good, man. No complaints. I'm really looking forward to finally launching this comic.
You know what's funny about the internet, man? Like I've heard your name, you know, because you Philip Russert obviously is publishing your book, and actually I was on a show with you this Sunday,
yes.
JD Calderon's, and now here you are, and I'm like, that's DM Ray. This is the beauty of the internet.
Yeah, it's like cards continuously getting shuffled. You keep running into each other eventually, right?
It really is, dude. It really is. Welcome. Sir. Thank you for coming on, my friend.
I really appreciate having me on.
Oh, heck yeah, man. You're in Canada, correct?
Winnipeg, yes.
All right. So, what's the weather like out there? I always say.
We're now not in freezing. Winnipeg sometimes gets the nickname of Winterpeg.
Right.
It gets as high. I don't know what in Fahrenheit. In Celsius, it's 40 above freezing, and it can get as low as 40 below freezing.
Jesus Christ, dude. Wow.
There's a really cool trick you can actually look on YouTube. A lot of people have done it. If it's at least 25 below freezing in Celsius, you can throw boiling water in the air, and none of it will hit the ground. It will all convert to snow because the contrast of temperature just sucks all the heat right out of it.
That's freaking dope, though. Are you a hockey fan?
You know what? I keep getting that question. Unlike the average Canadian, I'm not too much a fan of hockey myself.
Okay. Will you skate?
I can skate, yes.
Yes.
Skated before.
Okay.
No worries. I don't watch baseball or basketball. I'm a UFC fan, so no worries.
I don't mind UFC. I watch UFC once in a while. I haven't seen it in a while. I've been pretty busy doing the adult thing, but I enjoyed some MMA.
Yeah.
So Ray, talk to us a little bit about growing up in Winnipeg. Like you're obviously writing comics now. Was that something you collected as a kid, or how did you get into it?
Yes. Now it's funny because I've only been in Winnipeg the last quarter of my life. I just turned 40. Okay. I grew up. My stomping grounds was just outside of Brantford, Ontario, different province, not too far from Toronto. Brantford's actually Wayne Gretzky's old stomping grounds. Speaking of hockey,
right.
I lived around that area until I was in my early 20s. I loved comic books. I have a brother who's 5 years older than me, so I kind of had an early influence. My brother's favorite character was the Incredible Hulk, still is, and being born in the early mid 80s, it was really cool to be of that time where we had this very drastic transition. First, I was right in the middle of comic books, cartoons, and action figures finally combining their resources and making a huge beneficial profit by working together.
Yeah.
And when my elementary school, it wasn't cool to read comics. It was actually kind of frowned upon.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the punchline to a joke, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
So there was a lot of groundbreaking there from a lot of animated series. So Spider-Man, X-Men, which is X-Men 97 right now, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill in Batman the Animated Series. And it was really cool because suddenly it was okay to watch that cartoon, which was essentially just a comic book in animation form. Right. And then when you start hitting the late 90s, and I got in high school, well, you had Wesley Snipes and Blade in 98. Everybody loved that movie, but nobody realized it was a comic in my surrounding area. And if you told me, like, that's a comic book, I'm like, yeah, he's buddies with Spider-Man. They go, yeah, really. And then 2000, you had X-Men, of course. And 2002 was all three of those movies were like a hop, skip, and a jump to a big springboard of acceptability and mainstream in regards to superheroes, essentially, not just comic books.
Yeah. Were you big? Like, were you, I guess, reading comics? The 90s must have been like your sweet spot, like The Image. And was that a big influence on you out there, or no? It was.
I'm kind of conflicted. So I love all of the eye candy that came out in the early 90s. You mentioned Image already. That's a great example, of course. But I mean, there's also some real lows in the 90s. Spider-Man, Clone Wars, a lot of art in X-Men I didn't appreciate, especially to the mid-late 90s. I mean, lots of cool stuff, of course, as well. It's kind of bittersweet. But my stuff, I was always trying to get a hold of things like Secret Wars in 84. And I really liked it wasn't just the art. I liked the uniforms. Now, when I look back from a hindsight 2020 perspective, I appreciate the 90s a lot more than when I did as a kid, because I see it for the style and the flair it is, and I can actually look at that, and it's no different than looking at something from a 70s piece. I can see the style, the hair, the what was acceptable and what isn't nowadays kind of stuff. But when I was in it, I couldn't appreciate it for what it was, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah. No, it's funny because, like, you know, obviously that influenced a lot of the artwork that came, that kind of leaked into the 2000s. And some people even still, you know, the Jim Lee styles and the Mark Silvestris and all that other stuff. You still see a lot of that influence now. Now, I don't know. Are you the writer of Madcaps, or are you?
I'm the writer and creator. Yes.
Okay. Did you dabble into drawing growing up? Was that something that you kind of started?
Absolutely. I consider myself an illustrator at heart. It's just a lot of life got in the way, and my passion couldn't be my profession. So I found work, but I never really fleshed out or evolved my skill set accordingly. I didn't have that opportunity.
So did these guys influence, though, your style, or were you like more old school, kind of like when you were starting to draw these comics? Were you
my stuff? I would be looking at comics where, like, Rick Jones was the Hulk, Green Hulk for a while. I'd be looking at that type of era because of my brother, and I'd be looking at the Secret Wars, the style. I don't think this now, but at the time during the 90s, everything looked too shiny. Between the inking and the coloring, everything looked like it was made of plastic. I don't see that now. I didn't appreciate it for what it was. But when you look at something like the 80s, it's almost the opposite. It didn't have enough shine, and I just kind of leaned towards that style, if that makes sense.
I think what was happening in the 90s too is digital coloring came into play.
Yes.
And so you started seeing that, like you said, that plastic almost looking the coloring at that time, and the people were trying to emulate that, and for a while that's how a lot of the comics looked like. They had that kind of, like, you know, that kind of like plastic look. So what was, can you recall the first like story that you wrote as a kid, or the first property that you created that you felt like, man, I want to do something with this? Do you remember what it was?
The earliest thing I ever did is I took a comic book course when I was a kid. They had something not too far from where I lived. I took it for 2 years in a row, and we went from character design, powers, origin, and we eventually made our own comic book, which was 10 pages, and we paneled it, we pencil inked, lettered, colored it, and I really enjoyed doing that. And at the time, I made this. Looking back, I didn't know at the time. I believe it's Image. You know the character Backlash? It's an obscure character, but I didn't realize. But when I look back, it was obvious. I took from a lot of that character, but he was just more or less some mutant ghoul that was had like electric abilities, kind of like Namor the Submariner. I just thought he's really cool. His arch rival was some type of it looked kind of like Man-Bat from the Batman franchise, but it had like a Reaper scythe, and I just had this like little cool page. I don't remember too much of where the story went, but I only made 2 issues, and it was fun when I did it. I really enjoyed it.
It's funny because like when you're a kid, right, you're influenced by a lot of the things that you're watching, and we were just talking about how, you know, public domain characters, and I would never write something. But when I was a kid, I created a character called Moonrider, right? And it was really just a ripoff of Moon Knight and Ghost Rider. I just combined those 2 characters because I thought they were like the coolest characters. Created a character called Moonrider, but it was literally a ripoff of that. So I totally see what you're saying when you do that kind of stuff.
You're young and impressionable, and you're just like imitation is the greatest form of flattery. That's what was happening. That's the one. That's the guy. So my character was more like that, except he was really ugly underneath, but he could do things with electricity, basically.
Nice. How far did that go? How many issues did you go with that?
2 issues total, and then I just kind of got bored with the character and moved on to other things.
Now, were you writing scripts, or were you kind of just writing word bubbles as you were drawing the kind of like the character?
I just ad-libbed it as I went. I just each page, whatever I felt, I would put it in, and I had kind of like an origin story where this bat captures the guy, and he's able to break free. And classic hero origin, he damages something, so this gas changes him, and that was more or less his origin story.
Nice. At what point did you evolve from doing that kind of stuff and then sat down and actually wrote scripts and did it that way? What was the turning point for it?
Well,
Ray's like, never. I'm still doing
this. There's a long time jump there. So I've always appreciated comics. When I was a kid, I had more time. You'd have art class. I could dabble in it there. And when I got into high school, I was more focused on sports. And eventually I left high school. I traveled across Canada. I traveled to Western Canada. I'm here now in Winnipeg. And all of my friends back at home, I didn't get to see anymore. So this is going to go kind of on a weird tangent and then come back full circle.
Go for it.
I wanted to find excuses to hang out with my friends, even though I couldn't see them. So in my late 20s, I never played tabletop RPGs before. So I said, guys, you ever play Dungeons and Dragons? And they all said no. I said, well, why don't we play? So I had this. We've got some cool systems nowadays, like Roll20 is a great one. But at that time, I had a laptop, I had a desktop computer, I had 2 webcams, one looking over top of the board. Cool. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that was the better part, or that was over 10 years ago now. And I was looking back, the very first thing I ran, I was the dungeon master. I ran the whole thing. I did what was called a homebrew. I didn't use any modules. It was all my own creation. And I looked back and I thought it was a really cool story. I really liked the concept and some of the things going on. So during that time, I still have it on the backboard, but on the back burner. And believe me, this will go full circle eventually. But I was working on a board game. It's still in the works. Because of the Madcaps, it's just not at the front of the line at the minute. But I wanted it to have a comic book feel because of my background and my love for comic books. And I found a local artist. His name is Evan Quiring. He does Murder City Devil and Lucha Mysteries. You can find him at Cyclone Studios. I liked his stuff, and then I proposed, well, what do you think about doing the interiors for my first issue? And fortunately, at the time, he was free, and I showed him the script for the first, and he drew it out. And sorry, before he drew it out, I finished this script because I look back at this homebrew campaign. I took out all of the characters that my friends made, and I subbed them in for my own characters. And ironically, it was the characters are pretty much like the players, ironically. But Evan finished the interiors, and then I just started asking people on social media. I was looking for talent. One thing, once I got to this point, have you ever seen the movie The Untouchables?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at one point, Sean Connery's character says to Kevin Costner, when they're going to do their first sting, their first bust rather, he says to Kevin Costner, as soon as you walk through this door, there's no turning back. You got to go all the way, right? Mm-hmm. So I paid Evan to do all these interiors, and I'm saying to myself, like, these interiors are looking great. I'm happy with, but I wanted to make sure, since I've never written before, this is my first comic, the people that read it are going to decide if I'm decent or not decent. I can't control that, but what I can control is I can surround myself with talent. If I'm going to make something, I want to make it worthy of the industry.
Right.
So my next step was to find a colorist, and I found Dan Kemp, who's done over 100 issues of Spawn. Mm-hmm. And I was beside myself that these guys gave me a chance and just, sure, I'll do it. Oh, well, that's awesome. Dan Kemp and his brother Dave, they're great for conversations. I really enjoy talking to them. Yeah. And we would talk about how everything would look and lighting. Those guys are there's different intelligences, right? I don't have that intelligence of light and cascade where they can look at something just inked out and see it in a third dimension that isn't there yet, which is really, really cool. I looked for covers. I got a bunch of covers. You mentioned Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Remember you saying before if you could write for anything, you mentioned you mentioned like Alf, and I personally would like to do a Sam and Twitch equivalent of their views on Spawn.
Oh, that's awesome.
But Cypress Pool Jokers and their views on the Ghost Rider Dan Ketch version. I think that would be a really cool story.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
But anyways, going back to my story. I'll show you. I did not open this and get it ready. 30 seconds. I can share some covers if you're okay with that. I can show you some images.
Yeah.
I think I found them. There we go. Yes. Okay. So let's open this up. That is not what I wanted. Here, we'll start with this. I'm going to have to share it 2 times here. So first one, present, share screen. The first person I got a hold of to do a cover was Jimbo Salgado. I described the characters. I showed him things from the interiors, colored by Dan Kemp, or not colored yet by Dan Kemp. And this is also colored by Dan Kemp. I don't know if you can see it yet. Oh, there we go. Nice. This is the 4 characters here. I made some variant covers. I did one of each character since it was first appearance. I know a lot of people in the comic industry, they love doing lots of covers. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to kind of do a more humble approach, being my first comic. But I wanted each one of them to have a spotlight. So hence each variant is one of these characters. And they're all very different from each other. The Phil at the back, he's actually he's a descendant of this creature known as the Great Stormworm, which is basically like this giant kaiju-like electric eel. So he can like spit out like lightning, and he's very, very intimidating. He's over 6.5 feet tall. He clears 350 pounds. His greatest quality is actually his brain. He does a lot of study on the arcane and stuff.
So this Ray, real quick. So this is what the story that you were creating way back then as a tabletop game became?
Ironically, no.
Okay.
So the D&D campaign, I made some characters. Ironically, there is a lizard character that does have lightning, but that is coincidental.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got this. I got a blue-skinned elf. He's had a lot of exposure to silver. That's why his skin is kind of tattooed blue. This actually happens to humans in real life. It's a really cool phenomenon. This elf actually, because of his high exposure rate to silver, it's made him very resistant to magic, which is really cool.
Nice.
He gets his abilities from like almost like a more powerful entity that kind of gives him some extra abilities. We got a dwarf in the green. Of course, he's kind of like a farmer out in swampland. His people are called the swamp trudgers. Lives in a city. He wants he worships a thing called the divine, and he wants to be kind of like he wants to help those less fortunate. The larger the city, usually the darker the cracks, if you will. And then the guy up front, he's a little tiny. He's half dwarf, half gnome. He has some kind of, he doesn't fully understand his abilities yet, but he has an influence on metals and crystals and that kind of thing. Over his shoulder, you can see there's this little telescope here. It actually, he's rigged it. It's kind of like a contraption more than it is a device, but he can actually blast raw magic out of it, kind of like you'd see War Machine with his shoulder cannon.
Yeah.
So when he pulls his goggles down, the telescope gets into place and fun things happen.
Are these characters that you designed?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So you sat down, you kind of drew them out, and then send them out to whoever it is that's drawing the book, and they do what they have to do with them.
Yes, that's right. Here, let me stop sharing. I'll open up one last window. I'll just quickly go through these covers. Close, open.
How long have you been writing this book while you open that?
I've been putting this thing together for the last just over 2 years now. Okay. It has been an adventure. Biggest one is it's all on my own coin. Like I'm a father and a husband. I don't want to take away from my household, so I was very, very cautious, saving money and putting into this. This is issue 1 of 3. Issue number 2 is not going to take 2 years, that's for sure. My goal is, as soon as this campaign is done, to get the second one going right away. At longest, ideally I want it less than 6 months. But there's also timing. So here's the Sarlacc Swamp Trudger, as I mentioned. He's kind of like a sneaky priest, kind of like a woodsman, but he lives in the city.
What's the creature that he's killing there? Do you have a name for that creature?
It's unconfirmed. His axe, which is very potent against unholy creatures, did a really good job here. So there's a lot of speculation. That line work there is done by Javier Salterez, who did Volume 2 of Ghost Rider the first year with Dan Ketch.
Okay.
I don't know how I got a hold. That was one of the first series I collected issue by issue. It was really cool to get this guy to draw one of my characters, also colored by Dan Kemp, of course. And when you really think about that, you've got a Hellspawn of Image and a Hellspawn of Marvel, like talent in both of those characters combining. I've had a lot of fans tell me that it was really cool to get those two souls to cross paths. And the same with the Jimbo Salgado cover. Right. So it's kind of like I'm kind of proud I got to contribute that I was getting to this talent to collaborate accordingly, which I'm really happy with. Yeah. This image here is hand painted by John Zalesnik. He did the cover of Shinobi for the NES way back when.
Oh shoot, nice.
Yeah, this is all hand painted. He's done a lot of things for Warhammer and Magic the Gathering. This looks like a Magic card to me. Like yeah. I really this guy knocked it out of the park. I really like how he looks imposing.
You know what I like about the coloring? The textures. So like the metal looks metallic. The wood looks wood. You know, like he really did a great job capturing the texture of each thing. Yeah, it's pretty freaking dope.
Yeah, you can. on it's this weird combination of being able to both, you pointed out the texture and at the same time see the brushstroke. I just really appreciate the time this man took into this product here. I'm just really, really happy.
Yeah, that's great.
Only two more. Here's the little guy with the telescope over his shoulder.
Right.
You could see the tree stump in the foreground, showing that he just blasted it. This was done by Jenna Stark. She's out in New York. I saw on social media she did something of Gandalf the Grey, and I like the style. And I thought for a fantasy setting, I think it would be a pretty cool cover. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think she did a really good job. I like the contrast of this individual being less than 4 feet tall, but being able to just turn a tree into splinters. That's just very amusing to me.
It's really cool.
And last one, this one was done by Erica Hollis. This is that blue-skinned elf. His specific group of elves, they're very secluded, and people are very scared of them. So one thing he does is he's able to disguise himself to look human. So you see him entering this room, donning his disguise. The way Erica did it, combining with shadow and playing with that, I was really happy with that.
Yeah, really good stuff, man. Really nice.
But yeah, I'll stop sharing here.
How many pages is the first issue of this book?
First issue is 22 pages.
Okay.
For the people that have read it so far, I mean, I have two different types of people that have read the script or actually seen the final results. Anybody that knows me, of course, I'm going to get a good for you with that a boy kind of.
Right.
They're gonna be looking at it through rose-colored glasses. They're going to be very supportive. And I'm very happy to hear those things. But with that said, I want the hard facts. I want the hard critiques. Where does it lack? Where's room for improvement? And what does shine? So, from the people that I didn't know personally, I've had like a lot of good review, a lot of like critical comments. I really like how this was brought in. Out of the 4 characters, the first page, somebody told me they were very impressed with how I casually almost introduced the entire group right on the first page and without kind of forcing it or coming across as forced.
Right.
The narration, the whole thing is narrated through a letter. So all of the narration blocks, they all look like parchment with writing on it. A lot of people liked that type of look. They really liked how also a lot of questions about, I left certain things vague to prompt questions, so it's something to look out for in later issues, kind of thing. Right. I mean, overall, I'm really happy with what I'm hearing from from people that I don't know personally.
Yeah. Did you is the book complete? I guess is my next question.
Issue 1, yes.
Yes.
So
it is.
My goal is once this is funded, where do I go from here? So This is my first time writing. I'm not arrogant enough to say this is going to be a 12 or a monthly issue for the rest of my life. I don't know. And as I was saying before, it's going to be up to the people to decide if I'm a decent writer or not. So with that in mind, okay, I'm going to do 3 issues. And that's it. Each issue is an act. The entire story all 3 issues takes place over one night. And I strongly feel, which of course I'm going to be biased, the end result has a really good payoff when you get to the final act. These protagonists, they're not the strongest creatures in the land. I don't like the overpowered, I can do anything without being to relate to. So I scaled it right down. It's about 4 friends in a city. They run into something they wish they didn't. And half of it is, can they just survive? It isn't even about whether they can like be a decent influence on their surroundings during some odd things happening. In the first issue, 3 of them are almost killed. And the guards actually save them. Just to give you an idea of, I wanted to have some type of relatability. You have some friends, we're going to make a dodgeball team. The chances of you winning your first game and let's say they have a playoffs and championships, you're probably going to get crushed, especially if you're like my age and let's pretend I was like exceptionally out of shape. Well, I'm walking into that losing, right? So a lot of people can understand, I lost this. Well, that didn't feel good, So I tried to make it very relatable in that respect.
Good, man. Good. So when are you launching the campaign? Because I know this is coming out on Kickstarter, but when is the launch?
April 30th, 1 week from today.
Awesome. So next week,
Yes.
the launch. Are you doing some kind of launch party?
Phil Russert is having it on CreatorCon. You can also find it on his Facebook profile. I'm trying to get as many artists and talent that contribute to the. Oh, I'm getting a text here. I'm probably being notified that I am about to wake the kids, so I'll speak a little quieter. But anyways, I'm trying to get as much talent that has their metaphorical fingerprints to the launch party. So I know Micah Myers is coming. The Kemp brothers are joining in. I'm going to try and see. I know Janice Stark is going to be on as well. Unfortunately, Harvey Solterra is not available, but John Zalesnik, who did the hand-painted image, he said he's a good chance he'll be on. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out, and of course, looking forward to seeing how this launch goes. And then I can do. I'm being told it's very much like an emotional roller coaster, going through the month of a campaign and all the highs and lows.
Yes. But listen, it's going to be well worth it, man. I think you have a really good book. For those who maybe just joined us, we're talking to DM Ray Jamison, and he has a book called The Madcaps. Tell us what it is about, Ray, and then we'll let you do the whole pitch.
Well, you know what? I got a better idea. How about I show you a trailer?
Oh, okay.
It's under 60 seconds. Let me just share this. Just gonna make sure I got the right one.
Yeah. That's gonna be fun, man. Philip Russell's a good dude, man. He's got Philbo Publishing. So for those who don't know Philip, he's got Philbo Publishing. He's published a couple of guys. You're one of them. He had Guido Martinez, I think that's his name. He had a book called Night.
Yes, Night was a good one. I reviewed all of those issues online.
Oh, nice.
Can you see this here?
I don't know, Sammy. Can you see it? He's there. There he is.
I'm here. Okay, cool. Ready? Here we go.
There we go.
A brawny intellectual, a devout farmer, a good-hearted charlatan, and a social facilitator. This circle of friends shall reunite in their hometown, Ivywood. Before they can depart for employment, they are interrupted by a local drug problem which carries hidden, sinister undertones. Can they survive the night? And what is the source of this danger? The bond amongst these friends may be the only metric to answer such questions.
Very nice. Very nice. Good job, Ray. So next week it launches. Ray, thank you so much for coming on, my friend. This has been fun. The Madcaps, get ready. It's going to be on Kickstarter. You're running it for what, a month, 30 days?
30 days. You can find the pre-launch online right now. It's already active on Kickstarter. We've just cleared 100. We're at 114 followers now.
Good. Yeah,
I'm told for I have nothing to gauge that with, but I'm told for a first-time comic that's decent. So I'm really happy with how that's turning out. I'll just tell anybody that's into fantasy, this comic is just as much fantasy as it is comic books. Those two genres usually don't have a lot of overlap. I've done a lot of things to reiterate it's not just a comic with the skin of a fantasy. I've made this joke before on a different podcast, but like my late father, he's from Northern Ireland. It's funny. I chuckle at it, but if you've ever like someone says to me, I have Irish friends, like somehow I'm now allied with them or something like that. I don't want my comic book to be like it. I like fantasy, right? It isn't I like fantasy, it is fantasy. So some of the add-ons, there's miniatures of each character and 20-sided dice. It's actually designed to match the style of the actual title. There's laser engraved wood of the Jimbo cover. There's also a map of the area of where this comic takes place.
Nice.
Lots of, and then of course on the comic side, there's the variant covers as you saw. There's sketch covers. I've got a pin up by Sean Langley and Dan Kemp, which is like absolutely fire.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, no matter what side, thank you very much. That was art really makes it stand out. Yeah, thank you very much. No matter what type of fan of a genre that you're a part of, there's something that you'll appreciate from this. And one last thing I'll add to that, just to reiterate that both groups of fans can dig into this. I've actually, it's not fully edited, but I played a one-shot D&D campaign. I've got voice actors, pros from California. I also have Chris Hall and Chance Edgerly. They played with me as well. They have their own comic books. It's a prequel to issue 1 of this comic. And my intention, I wanted to be like a Rogue One before A New Hope. Kind of, it leads right into it.
Gotcha,
and my ultimate goal with this is, if you like fantasy, of course you'll appreciate this one shot. But if you liked it, well, this comic keeps that story going. So fantasy fans that don't read comics too much, they'll at least get a flavor and be more inclined to give it a shot. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, I also, for people that just like comics, they're usually not too. Usually, it's more superhero. There's not as much fantasy fans in the comic scene. So if you watch this one shot and you enjoy it, maybe you'll give this issue number 1 a chance.
Right. Nah, man, you're doing a phenomenal job, dude. I think it's gonna do great. Don't forget the link is in the chat. So
it's in the chat. It's also in the story.
Yeah. So definitely hit the link and then just follow it. And then next week, be there for the launch. Thank you so much, Ray. Appreciate you, my brother. You were gonna say something else? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, just to reiterate, if you're supporting this comic, especially in the fantasy, but in the comic crowd as well, this is a fan writing his first one. If you're supporting this, you're supporting one of your own, regardless of what genre you're part of. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of comics. You're supporting a comic fan. Yeah. I am a fan of fantasy. You are supporting said fan.
Man,
that's all I had to say there.
There you go, Ray. Thank you so much, brother. And stay warm out there, man.
I will. It's not freezing anymore. Right? I can't see my breath anymore either. So,
all right, brother. Take care, dude. Awesome stuff. Big shout out to Ray, man. DM Ray. Yeah. So Madcaps, make sure you're there next week for the launch of the campaign. The Kickstarter link is in the chat if you guys want to check it out and just follow it. But that was cool, man. That was really, really cool. Really cool.
Really fantastic.
Yeah, I like that he brought some images so you guys can check it out. A lot of that stuff looks great. Looks really great, dude. Yeah. Covers, man. Covers are so important, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like the importance of a cover and how it will sell your book. It's especially, I mean, obviously comics, but those look really great. So big shout out to him.
It starts with the presentation, right?
Yeah.
And then it's the meal, right? So it's like Thanksgiving. You invite the family over, you got the ambiance, you got the fine china, everything looks great, but is the meal just as great, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the meal is the insight, is the story, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. You nail the presentation, you hook them on that first page, get them turned to that second page, and then continue from that point on. And hopefully they fall in love with a character. That's the best that you can never ask for, that they relate to one of the characters and they embrace that. They want to see what happens next.
And I love the fact that he was realistic about it, right? Let me do 3 issues. It's going to be a 3-act play, basically, and go from there and see what happens. So he doesn't have these things. I'm gonna do 20 issues or 30 issues or whatever it is, because it's costly, man. That it costs money to make these comics. So good for him.
Mucho dinero, bro. Mucho dinero.
Yeah. I want to do more cover art. I love it. You're good at it, Lou. You're freaking great with the covers. You really are. So, but anyway, Sam, that was good, man. That was a good one.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good. It's always so good to get fresh faces on the show as well. Because there's so much talent out there, and it's we have a lot of repeat guests, but it's always great to introduce new fresh blood to the audience out there as well.
Yeah, and big shout out to Ray because he's doing his rounds too. He's going on different podcasts to spread the word. So good for him. Good for him.
Yeah. I saw it when you guys were all on JD's show. I had computer issues, and I saw you guys pop up on my feed. And I heard JD's first question, and then I turned it off to try to fix my computer. I gotta fix this.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so a lot of stuff going on. Again, if you're gonna be in Waco, Texas this weekend, come and see your boy. I'll be at the Central Texas Comic Con. I don't even know. They didn't even tell me. They don't give you your booth until you get there. That's crazy. So I'll be there at Central Texas Comic Con. It's gonna be dope. Second appearance. I think Dan Price is gonna be there with Bigfoot Knows Karate.
Oh, that's what's up.
I think he's gonna be there as well. And then the weekend in-store signing at Geek Out in Mansfield, Texas. Geek Out in Mansfield, Texas. That's gonna be dope. And then for the rest of the year, I got Comic Palooza, which is in Houston. Dan's gonna be there. So is Lori Calcaterra. That's gonna be dope. And then Superhero Comic Con with yours truly and the squad. You got George the Dreamer Medina, Jonathan the Psycho Cyphex, and Anibal Morios Compollos. They're going to be there. Then I'll be at College Station Comic Con, and that is in College Station, Texas. And then the Denton Comic Art Exposition, and I'll also be at Cowtown Comic Con. And I think I got in. I'm hoping I did to the Texas Latin Comic Con.
Nice.
And I think the final one is Bucks County or Bell County Comic Con. So I got a whole bunch of shows this year lined up. Your boy's gonna be busy, and I'm looking forward to connecting. And if you haven't checked out my vlog, I just uploaded it on Sunday for my latest vlog for my time at LitCon. I already broke 200 views. It's growing. It's growing fast. Thank you, everybody. So check it out. Got my time at LitCon plus. I needed some storage solutions. Plus, I did an unboxing of my XP Pen tablet, and some other, and then plus it's my time at the arcade museum, bro. That was dope. The arcade museum. So it's a really good vlog, and don't forget, Duty is a comic strip published by A Kid in a Comic. Already 6 issues were in publication. 7's getting ready to drop. In fact, I got to submit my 7th comic strip this Thursday night because they're dropping that one early. So get yourself a copy of The Kid in the Comic. Newspaper is pretty dope. Yeah, lots going on. And what's going on with you, bro?
So this weekend, I will be at C2E2. C2E2. I will be at C2E2 in Chicago this weekend. So if you guys are in town, check it out. I'll be walking the floor. And then next week, I will be, 2 weeks from now, May 7th, I will be doing a book signing at one of our local comic book shops here in Yonkers. I will have more information for you on that next week. That's right. And then what do we got? This is April, May. May, I'll be at CradleCon. I'll be walking the floor at CradleCon. In June, I will be out in San Antonio, like Sam said, with Jonathan, Anibal, Sam. We're going to be chilling out there in San Antonio. July, I will be in Plastic City Comic Con. So check that out. Big shout out to Keith Gleason, Mighty Mascots. He's the one putting the show together. So I'll be out there in July. August, will see me in Wicked Comic Con out in Boston, Massachusetts. Yes, we will be out there. I'll have table at these. I'll be tabling at these shows. So that's in August. September, I will be at Baltimore Comic Con. So I'm looking forward to that. That's Baltimore Comic Con. In September, October, I will be back at the New York Comic Con. And that's where it will end. I'm going to see what I'm going to do in November and December, maybe walk the floor on some conventions. So it's going to be a good time. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Get Your Meds. Check out my podcast, The Art of Comic Writing. And don't forget to pre-order the book for Russ 5377, the 25th anniversary edition. Go to my website, getyourmeds.com, and pre-order that book. Also, check out my work writing story called Dead of Night, issue number 2 for ASAP Imagination. Check that out. And that's about it, brother. That's all I've got.
That's it. Next week we don't have a guest. We just have topics. So we're gonna join us. It's gonna get controversial.
Let's do it.
The controversial corner. Remember that?
Oh wow!
You remember that show? That was early days of Catch the Craze, bro. That was one of the many shows. Controversial Corner. If you want to get jiggy with it, come and join us next week. Maybe I'll drop a freestyle. Who knows? I don't know.
Maybe.
Trying to bring it back.
Yo, Johnny had a comment. I think we didn't put up. I didn't get a chance to put up, but he said I have to love what I'm writing. It has to move me or be something that is reminiscent of some concept or idea that inspired me to write or create comics in the first place. So yeah,
yeah, I don't write unless I'm inspired.
Yeah. But
it's a whole different. It's a different brain cell that's used. That's a different part of your brain that you use versus the artistic side. So for me, I don't write as often as I draw because when I write, I'm all in, but I have to be truly motivated and inspired to write. I have more motivation when I'm drawing than writing. So I think I probably write maybe 15 times a year versus I draw every day.
Yeah, I think for me, writing is something that I try to do every day. I try to write something. I mean, because listen, you write every day. I mean, whether you're writing paperwork, whatever for work or whatever, we're always writing. Creatively, that's a different story. But I think we're always exercising that writing. So yeah, no, inspiration, man, as a creative, for me, I think inspiration can strike at any moment, dude.
Did you see that?
Can inspire you, dude.
Did you see that new device that they created that you touch and it connects to your thoughts and you can start thinking what you want and it starts writing what your thoughts are?
Easy. No, I haven't, but
yo, it's crazy the world, bro. I think we're all just part of the matrix, bro. I think I got wires instead of, they say it's veins. I think those is wires, bro.
Wow.
Yo, man, they just plug you into the matrix and it's over. No blue pill, no red pill. It's just doing it, man. It's crazy.
That could be a topic for next week. Stay tuned.
I know, right?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk some more.
We're going deep into the abyss, right?
We're going deep, baby.
Yes, we're going to this conspiracy theory right here on Catch the Craze. No fake news here.
No, God. All right, I'm getting sleepy. It's past my bedtime.
That's it, but you get no bedtime. What are you talking about? Damn, you in that party over there. Stop acting up.
Right.
Anyway, with that said, I am Sam, the crazy man, Vera.
And I'm George, the Dreamer Medina. Yo, what happened to the beat?
What beat? I played it. You don't hear it?
Oh, I don't hear nothing. All right, peace.
Let me see. Do you hear the beat?
No, I will have to catch on the replay.
So, with that said, you just screwed us up with that damn beat stuff. I'm sure. Peace.
It's just easy. It's not.
Crazy. Acquiesce. No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. I met him. Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh,
He described me. He said, I'm the
what? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze. On Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.